pretty much older than me, buddy.
Probably not.
Okay, it's 5:30. While we were on break, I asked some questions from some council members and things, and I met with the mayor and Max. I know that, we were on house arrest over COVID, and it was hard to get committees and things going. I changed some things up. I'd just like to see, and as I spoke with Max and Mark, I'd like to see our committees get a little bit more involved. And by no means are we going to tell Max and Mark how to do their job. They are busy enough. I think they need our ideas and input as much as we need communication from them. And I just want to open up the communication I've been here for about 3.5 months now, and I just see, from my point of view, I see a lack of communication and a lot of assumptions on both sides. And I think it's time to wipe the slate and try to do more for our community, for our city, and in a positive way. I think if I spoke with Max and Mark, and they're willing to communicate with the chairs. Okay, but sometimes we have to realize that there are times where they have to make a decision. They don't have time to call every time that they make a decision, and we have to be understanding of that. And I think if we want good things for our city and we're all doing what we volunteered to do, then we have to trust that those two are going to do their jobs, and we have to do ours in our wards and during our large communication with our members. I know we don't get, as council members, we don't get paid $30,000, $40,000 a year, but we did volunteer, and we owe it to our wards and to our city to be a little more proactive and help the city out and help these two guys out as well. All right. So with that being said, we're not going to break off into subcommittees. After talking with Bob, if you go to a subcommittee, you still have to come back and present it to the whole committee. So we're just going to I'll go right around. And we're always going to meet the three, the finance, the ordinance, and the infrastructure, every meeting. And I'll always have one or two others ready to go, and just to present. And a lot of the reports that we're asking for, like the mayor, when he gives his report, I think once we go through those three major committees, his report's over. And I think starting at 5:30, we have a little more time to accomplish something, especially if we have to have a public meeting at 6:45. So with that, does anybody have anything for me?
No, and with that said, like, communication's a two-way street. So at any point, anyone wants anything from us, call us, email us, stop in, whatever we can do for you. I think we're all headed in the right direction.
The biggest issue that I've seen in the last few years is we are broke down in individual wards, and of course, in the council at large. If we could just, in each individual ward, and then also copy the councils at large, if we would just know what's going to happen in our ward. If we know they're going to tear the street up down at Bridge Street, people come in and say, "What's going on?" It's like, well, I don't know. I know the Max, he did, but that's just an example. There are so many things that happen that the ward folks, they don't have a clue what's going on, and we feel really like, I don't know what's going on. Well, it really makes you feel really kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And if they would just like, okay, this is going to go on in the first ward, so I'm going to let Mike know, or second ward, well, as they go. If they could just say, hey, this is what's going on. So somebody asks you what's going on, you know what's going on.
And I agree with you, Mike. And I think that's why I want to do the committees the way we are, because I think those three committees, the ones that we're going to meet every time, will answer a lot of those questions. And, you know, as far as I know, and, you know, I'm confident they're not going to change their mind. They told me, they assured me that, you know, if they could, they would let the chairs and the wards know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, it's just, you know, the
Yeah.
chair, I mean, the chairs is fine.
Right.
But you need to let the board people know
Yeah.
what's going on.
And I'm hoping to accomplish that in these meetings.
Okay.
Okay, and that's my goal. And we have to have a goal, and we have to, you know, if that's our goal, then we have to try to achieve
Sorry.
that goal. That's okay. I thought it was Chad's again.
It's me.
I know that's something Mike's brought up in the past. It's not a new issue.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to Jerry and
I just,
Steve even.
right, and you know, this doesn't have to be a negative and leaving out of here disliking somebody. It just has to be open communication. I think that solves a lot of problems if we're able to. This is where most of the work is done anyhow.
Right.
And I think this has to be productive. You know, whenever we can't, I just don't believe in coming to committee meetings and only having a committee meeting last for 20 minutes. I think there's more to be done. And I think you guys all agree with me, because I've heard from everybody, almost everybody in this room. And, you know, I've told councils a lot, you know, we're doing better. You know, as years have gone, there's been times where council didn't do anything as much or as much. So, you know, so I think we're moving in the right direction. Okay, so that's my goal. And, you know, please, you know, my name is Tom. You don't call me president. I'm not into that ego stuff. But you guys all have my phone number. If Mark or Max contact me about something, I will probably do two things. I'll text everybody and I'll shoot you an email, so you guys know. Okay, and that's just how I want to. That's how I want to do things. So everybody is aware of what's going on, or trying to be more aware of what's going on. But you know, the communication thing, and you know, this has to be a productive meeting every second Monday and every fourth Monday. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay, so Sherry, I know that you have a lot of stuff for us to do. And at this time, like Tom, you're the chair. And I think, and people on this committee, if you guys have questions, you know, I know Sherry's a professional. She does her job. She does it well. But, you know, if we have questions, I think this is where we need to communicate and ask the questions. Okay.
Well, the main thing I needed to talk to you about tonight is the American Rescue Plan. We received in, you probably saw it on your August cash statement. We created the new fund, the American Rescue Plan Fund. At the end of August, we received our allocation of $578,801.98. However, before we can start to spend any of that money, there's a lot of different policies and procedures that have to be adopted by council. And quite frankly, it's way over my head, and you have to be specialized in the area to delve all into this. And Julian and Grube, the accounting firm in Westerville that prepares our financial statements for us now, and who has for many years, they have put a team together that they're specializing in this. So I went ahead and signed with them to, because I can do that for the financial statements. So to do assistance with this, and their fee out of that is $4,000, and it comes out of the American Rescue Plan. But with that, I'll just pretty much have more hours available to reach out for them. They will have all our federal CFR policies, they're called, together, because we failed to do that with the local CARES funding. So they'll, you know, we'll have a little notation in our audit from that local CARES that we did not have those federal policies in place. So they'll get that together. Every project must be bid, and it will have to follow federal procurement regulations. And so those will all have to be approved by council. The policies will all have to be approved. There'll be a, what they call a project evaluation form that will come to council for you to approve what project is going to be done. And with that, along with that, when it comes time to have appropriations, there's only certain types of spending and what she said, what buckets can be, what the items will be placed in. So think about our line items and our appropriations. There'll be specific line items in there. So expect probably by next council meeting, you'll probably have some of those policies. So if I can, I'll just get those to you. They don't have to be approved by ordinance, just approved in the minutes. I'm pretty certain that's how it'll just be approved in the minutes, but you'll have to review all those and, be on record that you are approving those. And then the appropriations will just be the normal appropriation process whenever that time comes through for it. What they did is there's several different ways that the money can be, I don't want to say spent.
Spent.
Spent, but with the reporting of our process, there's a pretty really high-end reporting that you have to do, or there's a little lower level. I'll just describe it that way. Fortunately, we found out that we fell at the lower level because our growth from 17 to 19 was a negative 2.21%. And if we would have been at a growth cap of 4.1%, we would have had to go to this much higher level of reporting. So that was kind of good for us there. Another part is, you guys passed the fire contract. And in there they had, once we received the American Rescue Plan, they would receive a one-time $1,000 bonus. And it's to be payable at the next pay that we got it. Well, I talked with the acting chief and just said, hey, heads up, that's not going to happen that quickly. There's just steps we have to take. So I need counsel to the easiest, probably cleanest way to do is, if you wish, we need to have a resolution stating whom you consider essential employees. I think the ASME union did that. And I checked with her, with Megan is the lady's name. And so I just jotted down a resolution stating any full-time employee, the employee must have been on payroll and working for the city prior to March of 2021. New hires between then and now are not eligible, nor if they left employment, after March 20, or if they're gone, they're gone. You don't have to go back and, if you had somebody who left in April or January, but they worked in 20, they're not eligible for it. So I think it's in the ASME, isn't it in the ASME contract?
Yes.
So she said they would probably recommend steering clear of part-time or seasonal workers. She says that gets a little bit muddy in the reporting of it, but all other city full-time employees can be deemed essential workers. Because quite frankly, if they weren't here, the city wouldn't have been functioning. So if you would like to do that and like to continue, well, the contract is there, the $1,000 and ASME, but then continue that on for non-bargaining, I can get you a count for the next time to let you know exactly how much that would be. And we would have an appropriation line. I'll get the proper wording from her of the appropriation line for that. I know we're going to have an appropriation line for accounting services for their $4,000 out of that. But mostly just to let you know, there's a lot more to it than just like, hey, we got this money, let's just spend it on this project, let's spend it on this project. Every project has to be approved by council before it can move forward
So,
in the.
but if like Public Works wants to do a stormwater project, how are we gonna bid a project that we can do ourselves and actually save money? Can we still, I mean, can we still do that?
We'll consult, let's consult
Okay,
with them.
okay.
Let's consult
Because
with
there
them.
are things that we can.
Yeah,
The way I look at it, and I've talked to Dave K-Dry, talked to Kevin Shire about kind of splitting that money, half in public works and half in utilities. Like I said, we know what projects we need and we know, I mean, it sounds like a huge number. We're gonna get $1 million, and actually we could receive more. There are mayors, actually, Don Mason in Zanesville just had a meeting with the development director last week. And there could quite possibly be more money. So basically, our projects are pretty lined up, and I don't, we could go through that fairly quickly.
I would
So,
have to think is if it's a project we're gonna do on ourselves, it's just as long as it's captured correctly in the
and
reporting
report
of it.
correctly,
But
right?
if it does get, to the bidding for one, yeah, then you're gonna
Right.
have to go through all the bidding stuff. And I haven't highlighted here, I've got a gazillion sheets. The cost must be obligated, so encumbered by December 31st, 2024, and the project must be completed then by December 31st, 2026.
That'll
So
give us
there's-
plenty of time.
Yeah, so and then next year we'll get at least the 578, but if you know of
Right, there
something
could-
else
right,
more,
there could be
that will
more.
become.
What happened was the townships lobbied the state. So we were promised 2 million, and then the townships lobbied the state, and what they did was then they somehow formulated amounts to go to each township. So that's where our other 900,000 went to. So then a lot of townships haven't committed to their money. So now there's a pool of $15 million just sitting out there that I don't know what's gonna happen. So the townships lobbied, now the cities are lobbying, and we may get more, but right now we're gonna get that like 1.1 million for sure.
And I will-
578 for 2 years, and
Okay.
then I'll let you know if we get more money.
I know she really stressed that water projects, and Dave probably knows this, water projects must, and I underline must follow federal procurement regulations.
So Davis-Bacon's in effect on as well.
What's that?
So the Davis-Bacon laws in effect as well for wages.
Oh,
Because that would
right,
make a
yeah, for
huge
sure.
difference.
So
on-
what this has done with all this money is like everything else that we're seeing with inflation, because it's inflating since everyone working on projects like, from storm sewers to water to sewers, those companies are paying, and then the materials prices are going up, because guess what? Everyone knows that we all have an open checkbook and here's what they have to spend, so it's just driving cost up. So
Gotcha.
that's why probably the sooner that we can recognize a project and say, hey, here's what we need to do, the sooner we do it, the better, because if we wait 2 years, it's going to be 30, 40, 50% more probably on a project. So whatever we need to do, we need to get it done, talk about it and get it done now, because if not, we are going to pay more. So that's really what's creating inflation, is people know that the government's just throwing money out the window. So
I will say the state auditors, they said it was a really smart move to go with Julian Group and let somebody else, handle that. And they'll assist right along with, obviously they can't get online and file the reports with us, but I can work hand in hand with them to, get what to report and how to report it. So, I mean, because it's gonna have to be somebody that's has really specialized, and they have put their partners, on this, so. But that's really what I wanted to let you know, that I'll come, have ready for you for the next council meeting. And
That's gonna be my question. Are you gonna try to have that for the next one?
yes, they said they would have the policies. I told him when our council meeting was the next time, and he was gonna shoot to get it to us. Between Mandy and, or Megan and Adam, so the two that I'll be working with.
Are you gonna want the resolution declaring all full-time employees essential for the next meeting?
I would say,
But have we even passed the ASME contract yet?
Voting on it
Tomorrow.
at their meeting tonight. So the 27th would be the first I could bring it back to council.
But you want to limit to full-time not elected officials.
I don't think we're allowed, Bob, because of the higher revised code that we can't receive.
That's fine, I just want.
Yeah, no, my assumption is, no, we
I
wouldn't be
agree,
able
we
to.
can't make more than what we.
No, we're already set, so, yeah.
So I'm accepting donations.
Just throw some more coins out on the street. I'll pick them up when I run by.
Right.
Throw your change up, I'll pick it up.
Who's gonna do the resolution?
Well, I can type up some language for you if you want to approve it. I mean,
didn't
I don't
know if We
mind.
had talked about if Cherry's gonna be back or what's going on.
Right now, she said that, she's not here because of her pneumonia. So,
I think she'd be able to type
I
up
think-
whatever we get her.
Yeah, because I think she did the agenda.
Yeah.
And did she do
Yeah.
then she
Yeah.
did the ordinances?
I did the transfer and appropriations, but the others, she did all the other stuff.
Yeah, I think she can do it.
I'm just trying to figure out what, going forward, is it going to be you speaking to Cherry and say, yo, can you put a draft of this together for Bob to look at? Is it gonna be you? Is it gonna be me? I just don't want this to go to the day before council and
Right.
us not have anything.
I'll do it if you give me what,
Yeah.
if I have the information, I'll.
Yeah.
I text her quite a bit.
Basically, just be a resolution declaring all city
Stating all-
full-time employees as essential workers.
Yeah, essential workers, and I jotted down are critical to the daily operations of the city. Just something, some,
Are you going to,
basically some fluff language to, say that.
are you gonna do anything with like the bargaining and non-bargaining? She said, would,
Well, that, if we did all employees, that would.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, that resolution will have to state those start dates that you were referring to a few minutes ago, or?
I mean, that's just what the policy is. I mean, if you want it in there.
I think the mayor. didn't
He
you-
declared
the
emergency.
Yeah.
At the start of it,
Emergency,
deem
so
all
basically deems
employees
everyone
essential.
essential. And
Well,
with
if
that
that's in
all
there, maybe
said,
that already would cover it.
I think the community a lot of times don't appreciate that we keep your water running, we keep the sewer going away from your house, the trash picked up, the streets semi and good working order, the street lights, the things, so yes, our employees are very vital to our well-being on a daily basis. So if anyone ever wants to argue that with me, come up and we'll have a conversation. So our people, to me, are number one, and our residents are a close second and number one. So, I mean, our people do some magic on not having every resource that they need. So I want to say that I appreciate the people who show up every day and keep things moving for our city.
So do we need a resolution since we already passed a resolution when Mark deemed it emergency?
That's what I'll check on.
That's what
I'll check
wondering.
on. Maybe that will cover and, send me a copy of that.
You
and
might
then I'll-
have to specify, that you might need a resolution to specify.
That you're gonna pay the $1,000.
Or who's covered, I guess.
That will just be an appropriation.
Okay. Anybody else?
I mean, I can provide you a list of names if you wanted. Somebody just said something. I mean, it wouldn't be hard. Because it'll be appropriate, you'll have the appropriations times.
Thinking of who's full time. Anybody else? Okay, Ordinance Committee. Mr. Moore?
The only thing we have ready for tonight, the only thing I'm aware of is the nuisance ordinance with the amendment to the grass cutting and unkept properties portion of it. Anybody have anything? Hear from anyone?
I just, you know, I just want people to know that, you know, this is mostly, as Jeff has stated many times, it's, you know, it's a lot of the repeat offenders that we have to deal with. And I think that's the reason why the mayor asked for something with a little more teeth. And hopefully, you know, this will help. I don't think it's going to solve all the problems because, you know, I think all cities have the same problems. You know, ours are more noticeable because we're a smaller community and we bring them up. But, you know, also again, you know, I think our ward members and at-large members, you know, if you have some time, pick a street and a couple streets and drive around and write down some addresses and send them in. I think that's, I think that's,
I wasn't here at that original meeting, you know, when people wanted to fight, you know, not fight, but, you know, said, I don't think it's fair. And all I would tell people is if you do what's right, you don't have a fight. Like if you do what you need to do and you keep your property how it needs to be, there is absolutely no fight. And the majority of our community wants things cleaned up. Let's clean them up. If you don't want to do it, then it gives us some leverage to.
right. And nobody's going to run around
Right.
town with a tape measure.
Right.
And as soon as it hit eight
Maybe a
inches.
sandal.
I am.
Or a
Yeah,
sandal.
maybe a
Yeah.
flip
Hey,
flop.
well, you know, I disagree. I disagree to disagree. I feel like, if we're gonna do this, you're going to jail first and then you're going to jail. Because I see too many poles, too many curbs, too many everything with grass this tall. I mean, I just can't back this with going to jail. Everything else is cool. I'm cool with everything else, but
If
it's-
council appropriates me, I don't know, $500,000 more a year, I'll clean up every curb. in
I'm
this
just
town.
saying, I think maybe there's some way we need to go about this to try to get rid of what is a nuisance for us as a city. Do we spray any type of chemical on anything? Not that can get in the storm drains.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do anything on storm drains. So we need to come up with a solution. Like they're just, half of the streets look like trash. I sent you guys some pictures.
Yeah.
I mean,
saw
and that's right in front of a storm drain down on Pine Street. And that's our responsibility, right? So if it's there all summer,
I mean, the way to keep that from happening is you'd have a major crack sealing program. Because
Right.
those are coming up out of the.
oh yeah, I know where they're coming from. I do my curb every
Well, that's
day.
why
you know?
I do my own.
And I know where we're coming from. It's your curb, it's in front of your house, just
Right.
clean it up.
Right.
But you're gonna have people that say,
Yeah.
dude, that's yours, that's not
Right.
mine, that's yours.
But see, that's what doesn't build anything in our community.
I know it doesn't, but I
If
think
everyone did their part, none of us would be
No.
here. We wouldn't have to waste paper. Like
Right,
if people did what they needed to do, and that's not the argument. If people did what they needed to do, or if we had an unlimited budget to send people out every day with.
I think we need to find
weed
something,
whackers,
we need to find something to do.
So you're just talking about residents, or you're talking about the railroad? You're talking
Yeah.
about those, the old stone container?
You know-
I mean, it's totally out of
Mhm.
hand right
Do
now.
you know who's been taking care of the railroad all year?
Well, I know the city has been
Yeah.
part of it, but not all of it.
Well, let me ask
And
this.
across the street in that big parking lot that's sitting there,
Yep,
it'd take 3 sandals.
yep,
Chad.
yep.
I
You're
guess
talking about Rock 10 and the parking lot across from Rock 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Did
MFM
we
pile,
clean
the
half of
dirt
that?
pile now.
We did all of Fifth Street. We didn't do in the lot in back of where that automobile garage has their automobiles. I mean, right now I've got one guy. The other one went back to school and.
Well, that's not, I understand that city can't do it. I'm asking who's responsible then? Do you go to the railroad and you say,
Well,
listen,
we have.
Yeah,
just not
I've
paid
had conversations with the railroad.
can you level fines?
We mow and we charge them.
They get charged for what we do.
Yeah.
Oh, they
I
don't,
mean, they're
I mean,
charging
well,
out.
that just goes under tax. They don't,
Right, exactly.
I mean, can there be a citation written?
You can write it to.
where they go to court and have to pay a fine or in the newspaper and that sort of thing. Is that a
Would
possibility?
they not fall under the protocol where we're going through the steps?
They will, but who do I write, who do you write a citation to when it comes to the railroad?
You
Who
can
owns the
cite the
railroad?
corporation itself.
So then just because we can't find somebody to cite, that means you're not gonna get cited, but I'm gonna cite you because I can find you. And see, that's not.
I can find railroad
But,
for you. I know
that's-
where they're at. They're
That's
in
what
Pennsylvania.
people do with
Right,
rentals,
I
there's
know.
LLCs, there's,
I
there's
know.
corporations set up where.
So we.
You can't just pick on residents and
No,
leave
right.
all this others,
Right.
leave the corporation, these companies alone or whoever,
Right.
you just, you can't, you just.
No,
can't
and
do
I,
that.
I agree with that. So let's figure out a way to throw the GM of the railroad into jail when I call them and tell them to do something and they don't do it.
Why wouldn't they fall under the same protocol that we have set up in this ordinance?
They do. I mean, I guess I need to see the ordinance, to make sure that it's written in a way that corporations can fall under it. But I've cited corporations before. Is the
And I think
judge
that's all
can't
Mike's
throw a
asking.
corporation in jail. Plain and simple.
Right.
But he's not gonna throw citizens in jail.
No.
I've told you that. It's a waste of time. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Our jail's full. He's not gonna put people with high grass in jail. And he's certainly not gonna put a corporation in jail. But if you want us to go after corporations for $150 fine, we can do that. But frankly, we collect more than doing it ourselves.
So if I could ask some clarity on the way the ordinance is written, we've got continued failure by a property owner to comply. It's a 4th-degree misdemeanor. So if I understand it right, we notify them the first time, then they have 15 days to fix it, right? You notify them the second time, they have another 15 days. So this isn't the third time we notify them, they're getting a misdemeanor. This is the third time we notify them, they have another 15 days to do what they need to do, right? Yes? Okay. So I mean, second traffic conviction in 1 year is a 4th-degree misdemeanor. If you're drinking alcohol in a car, it's also a 4th-degree misdemeanor. You have 15 days to mow your lawn and you don't do it. I was on the side that it was too steep, but it's not that we're just the third time we tell you you're getting it. It's the third time we tell you and you don't do anything about it.
I don't think the
So for-
city should be in the lawn care business. We shouldn't have to
Yeah.
know people's
Yeah.
properties. That's not why we're here.
Mhm.
And I understand where Chaz comes from too, because I know I brought it up in the past. If we expect our residents to take care of their property, the city needs to take care of the properties that we own. We shouldn't have to leave it up to our town or whoever to clean up the parking lots. Mike makes a good point, and I just noticed it yesterday when I was driving around. The railroad properties are horrible, and I know you have been on them. But, going along with what Michelle said, if I live next door to someone who wasn't taking care of their property, and I know they've been receiving letters or warned 3 times over, we're talking 45, maybe 60 days, and nothing's been done, that's not fair to me. So I take care of my property, and luckily I live in a neighborhood where they all take care of their properties. But if I live in a neighborhood where they weren't, I'd be upset. And I'd be calling here, yelling and complaining, and
Well, understand, it's not gonna go 45 days. I mean, if it goes 15 days, I'm gonna send my people out to take care of it. Now, personally, I think 15 days is too long on grass. I mean, I went out this last week and I've got hang tags I put on doors. I give them 72 hours to mow their lawn. 15 days, that grass can be that high in 15 days if it's a rainy season. And then you're gonna turn around, and we're gonna mow it. And a lot of these people, you're right, they don't care where their lawn. I talked to one gentleman downstairs that came in, who I won't name who it was. But I said, do you have any idea what person of this name owns this house? And he said, well, I do. I said, do you realize that we've been mowing your property for the last 3 years? Well, I had no idea. I said, well, it's been coming on your tax bill. Well, I never see that. It's just paid out of escrow. So, these people own houses, and I don't know if they think that the grass grows so high and falls over or what, but that's what I run up against. And so it's not going to be a 45-day growth. If you stick to 15 days, in 15 days, I'm going to send my people out to mow it. If someone gives them a problem, I'm gonna go out and stand there while we mow it and gonna hand him a citation. But, you know, it's a battle, and I've got 2 kids in the summer that does that, and then when school starts, we've got 1 kid now, and when we do get ahead, we do the curbs, we do the streets, the ones we can, we hit those. I mean, you know, we can't expect the city street department to do it. They got 6 guys, they're busy. My suggestion would be, if we're gonna keep doing this, we need to hire a crew, city workers or somebody, and go out and do this. Take care of city streets, take care of parking lots, take care of the railroad tracks that we're gonna build it. I can't do it with 2 kiddos, because these kiddos, you know, they go on vacation in the summer. Some days it's really nice, they wanna go to the pool. We're not coming in today, and we don't force them to come in. So, you know, if we want to take care of the city and do what you want to accomplish, this is going to help with it, but we need to think about hiring 2 or 3 people next year that aren't just kiddos, that we can count on being here every day. And if you want them to mow lawns, we bought 2 push mowers, we can go take care of city streets. So I'm gonna need like 4 people to do that.
Did anybody check into that group that Roger brought
Did we
up?
meet with that guy from Powell's?
I met with them and then I never heard anything else from them, so. But once again, they charge.
Yeah.
They charge, like, so there's, to me,
How much was it? I don't think it was much of a cost though.
I think it's minimum wage for whatever person that you hire, and then they have a job coach, so. But we need to find a way to take care of our own, and there's a lot of areas, not only the railroad, there's a lot of areas with weeds in the curb, and it's, hey, Jeff, this needs done, Jeff says, this is getting done. It's a constant day in and day out of, here's where we need to focus on. The Rock 10 parking lot, I just saw it the other day and said, that looks like hell. Like it, and it's, I don't want to pick on anyone. I just want them to do what they need to do. That's it. So if you can tell me a way that we can make people not just mowing grass, everything, how do we get to that? And that's why I thought that this ordinance, with the possibility of jail time, was the way to go, because maybe it will open people's eyes, and maybe someone will say, I don't want that to happen to me. Once again, the other day, I'm talking to Jeff. We have a repeat person that we're dealing with right now, and it's the letter went out and there's nothing changed with the residents. Once again, every other house in the neighborhood looks good. People take care of it, and then there's one. There is one in every single ward. I don't care where you are in Coshocton. That one has to go away. So we have to figure out a way to make that go away. So whoever has the answer, I'm listening. But as far as I agree, we should take care of everything all the time. But with the resources that we have, sometimes it doesn't get done. Like with paving going on, we've been working with storm sewers. We've been working with full depth where the road is gone, where you can't just pave over it or it's gonna drop. We can't send all of our people to get something done and then want weed eated out of the street. So we balance things well, but wherever our priorities are, let's go get them. But you can't have an unfunded mandate. You can't say, let's go do this and not have the resource to go do it.
So to Chad's point about the city property with the grass that's really long, is there a schedule or something that I'm gonna have a hard time finding other people if the city's not doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Let me throw something else out there. How about every day, the guys get in their trucks. Somebody does first ward, somebody does second, third, fourth. We make a list, we give it to, I don't care, whoever gets it, Jeff gets it, and bam, we're done. 15, 20, I don't know how long it would take to just cruise up and down the streets, and is that something that we could possibly do? Or
65 miles of streets. So
I don't know, once a week, once a month.
A mile a day would take us 2 months, two.
What do you mean a mile a day, Mark? You're just driving down the street and looking at the curbs and stuff, and then you go to the next street, and the next street.
Yeah, but then I've got one guy that's got.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know, I'm not being argumentative.
He's asking for help on how to fix this, and that's what I'm throwing at you.
But how we fix it on the.
I
other
don't
end?
know. We're gonna have to hire more help next year. We're gonna have to hire.
Like what Chad's leading, if we do get a list of
Yeah,
what needs paid attention to, then we know, okay, we're gonna start right here. We might not have the people do it now, but we know when we do get to people, this thing's ready to go.
Right.
This is what we've seen. This is where we've seen it. Let's get a plan to fix it.
I think there's just some other ways around it. We can look at it and go different, but
Yeah, I think we need to pass this ordinance, but I also totally understand that we need to take care of our own properties also. And we need to have a plan to do that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the ordinance the way it is. I did receive a phone call with concern about the penalty part of it. And I do know that when our town of Coshocton cleaned up the city parking lot, a person came by and said, you know, if this was my property, the city would charge me to do this. So there are people aware of city property that's neglected.
The intent of this ordinance isn't to put people in jail.
Right.
right.
It's to
But-
get people to take care of their property.
But the people see the jail, you know, that 4th degree misdemeanor, and they go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But maybe that's what we need.
Cut your grass.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need.
There will be people that wait until they get to that point
Right.
before they,
Right.
And
and
I'm
that's
sure
why they
that,
need that.
you know, we'll be, Jeff or whoever can advise them, look,
Mhm.
you know, I broke my leg. I couldn't mow my grass, but I'll make sure, okay.
Right, right.
You know, it's not like we're going out with
And
the
we
Gestapos
do,
and.
we do work with people who work with us. This is more for that person who will not conform to society and does not care. That's for that person who, the most difficult of cases, that we work with people all the time. Like, it's not that we don't, it's not that we're out to get anyone. We just want people to do what's right. and-
responsible.
And that's it.
If now's the time to speak up, because this is on the agenda.
I just had the one email and I think I forwarded that to
Right.
everybody, and maybe when we first started, but that was the only.
I just,
Person I heard from.
in my opinion, with the ordinance, the way it's written, as long as, you know, I feel that if we're able to work with people, and I think the intent, and I agree with Mark, the intent are the people who abuse and leave and just let their properties go. That's the intent. And I think in return, we need to figure out, I agree with Chad, we need to figure out a way to take care of our own property. And if that's making a list, I don't think we need to wait till June to make a list of the streets that need to be done. That list, we need to figure out where we're gonna start and start working on that.
And that's something that can be done. Email Max, email Jeff and say, email Public Works, you know, Angie at Public Works, Kevin, anyone, send an email. Here's an address. This needs focus. We have eyes, but the more eyes that we have out there helping. If I have to take a weed eater out to Pine Street and do it myself, I will.
So is-
And I think this is a good discussion. I think, you know, the public's getting to hear what we're talking about.
Right.
So they're not afraid of what we're, you know, so, yeah, I think,
You know, it goes clear back to the better the paving is, you don't have that. As we pave streets, if you go to a street that's been paved in the last 5 years, you won't see weeds growing out of it.
right,
I
right,
don't know where that was at, but
yeah,
the one with the sandal.
yeah.
So, but I'm sure it's one that hasn't been paved for a while.
Yeah.
So if you go
On Pine
to,
Street.
you know, I was telling some of the infrastructure committee earlier tonight, you know, since the street levy's been in effect, we've actually paved 33 miles of streets out of 65. I don't include no alleys, unfortunately,
Mhm.
but we're halfway there. And we instituted that in 15,
Max,
15. So I'm sure if you go back to those streets, you won't see, because we're milling everything.
Right,
Out
and then
in
you're
the
sealing
curb,
the curb,
And then
right,
we're
right.
sealing everything. So
Mhm.
that takes care of a lot of that.
Right,
is it possible, get a chance, if you get a chance, to go through that that study of streets and eliminate the ones that have been repaired or
yeah.
Did you do
repaid?
that?
Yeah.
And just leave us the ones that
That's-
haven't been paved with the condition?
We can, what I was telling these guys, I think might be a better visual is if we take that city map, you guys all played the game Battleship.
Right.
Where
Couldn't
you
afford the games.
couldn't afford that game, well, you're from down there in Chauncey or whatever, but.
Close.
But you know, if we would highlight every street, Glenn brought up maybe highlight by year, because I've got everything, what streets were done by year. And then that would show you how we've been doing, you know, main drags and then picking up like one side street a year to form where we would have everything completed. That visual may be better because that pavement management system goes by each little street.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah, I tried to go through and eliminate the ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to too.
Hey, I hate to put a damper on this, but this stayed with the ordinance.
No, we can,
And that's infrastructure.
yeah.
So that's okay. That's okay.
So where are we on? Everybody good? I know.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I just had to throw some stuff out there.
Is the 15 days a problem?
No, I want you to be aware that I'm going to get a call after a week, somebody saying, I called you and you haven't got this done yet. Well, they've got,
Can we
Two
take
more.
that to 10 days or, I mean,
Bob's only suggestion was when we went through this by ORC, I have to give them 15 days on a junk car.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you can't go mow within that 15-day period.
Well, but if, you know, if we cut it down and give them less than 15 days on mowing, that's what we've done now. And we just did it to make everything kind of equal, but you know, I have no problem going out and hanging a tag and give somebody 72 hours and then, you know, and then maybe just hit them again and not mow for, you know, give them totally and maybe like 7 days. But, you know, as I go out and I see a house with long grass, I just pull up. I've had these hang tags made when I first came on board. I just put the date on it and hang it and put in access essentials, what I've done.
My
So-
opinion is keep it at 15 days because I think the community feel like we're just gonna pinch them. And I don't think that's fair. I think we need to keep it at 15 days. They feel like they have plenty of time.
As long as that's not a problem. If we go out after 72 hours and then they say, why did you charge me for this? I had 15 days.
Well, I will stop doing hang tags. I mean, they will get a letter and give them a final date, and at the end of that final date, I will then go back out and see if they,
Okay.
you know, of course, if they say, well, I did mow and now it's growing again.
Could I suggest, if this passes tonight, that when you do send a letter out, we include a copy of the ordinance and the consequences so they know?
Well, I don't send the whole ordinance, but I do highlight that there is a penalty section. I give them a penalty section.
If you're gonna pass it tonight, assuming you want me to go after corporations, this either needs amended during council meeting, or you need to let me have another crack at it and bring it back up in 2 weeks.
We just give it a reading. Is that what you're saying, or?
You can still pass it tonight, you just need to have a motion to amend. I'll tell you what to amend the language to and then pass that. Or if you want to give it more time to talk about the 15 verses and all that stuff, that's fine too.
It's
I feel like it should be passed.
15 days, Tom, I'm right. We change it now, they might feel we're really squeezing it, but I think we need to make sure it includes corporations.
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
So we can pass it tonight, just to be clear, we can pass it tonight and amend it at the next meeting.
No.
Amend it tonight.
We'll have to have a motion to amend tonight
Okay.
and cite the language to amend it, prove that motion, and then vote on the amended ordinance, and then we'll type up the amended ordinance to match what you voted on. Basically what you need to do. So, see where it says no person, you'll put no proprietor, owner, agent, assignee, occupant, or tenant of lot, property, house, building shall allow nuisance conditions. I'll write it.
Thank you. I'm gonna have a hard time clerking it myself.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other ordinances that we proposed ordinances?
Bob and I have been working on an ordinance and I'll give him the draft form to address some billing issues and stuff like that. And it's coming, and in a way, it's just almost identical to the conversation you have about nuisances. I'm assuming everybody here pays their water bill on time. So therefore, we have a lot of things that we do that the people pay their bills on time, subsidize the people that don't pay their bills. So this ordinance kind of addresses those issues, some of the highlights, that we're proposing, that the ordinance committee, and also affects the infrastructure a little bit, consider is, I'll call it our shut-off procedure. Right now, if you look how we do shut-offs, okay, just due to the volume, we don't intend with our current policy, shut anybody off till they're 60 days past due with $60. So when you look at that, we really should be getting to 30 days past due. And then is it $1, is it 10? That's a different question. But when you look at that, we're going to hang probably 150 red tags between today and tomorrow. Okay, so the billing clerks, that's probably spent 3-4 days preparing these tags. And then, the distribution guys will go out and hang these tags. So there's another 2 guys tied up for a day, day and a half. Where we really need to be taking this time and addressing the people that don't pay their bills. And to do that, probably the best way is I've done research to 6 or 7 surrounding communities about the same size, from Mount Vernon to Dover, Philly, and see how they do their billing process. And the biggest change is most of those agencies are going to where we no longer will put the bills in the tenant's names. The bills will go in the landlord's names. That helps down the road for when people don't pay, because in the current the current county auditor, I can't go after and assess taxes for a renter. I can only get the property owner. So when we allow the bill to go in the tenant's names, I don't have as many weapons in my, arsenal to go get that money. So that's one thing that we're proposing that, the ordinance committee considers. The other couple other ones is we have a lot of issues. Mainly there's a couple landlords that we allow quarter billing. We want to get to monthly billing. As we look at technology on meters, and I'll use West Lafayette example, we can read those meters every hour. We know what's going on there. Where here, we still rely on people turning postcards. So, that's just a night and day difference. And I got an example right here.
This is my mistake. This is Dave Caden, our utilities director, in case you guys haven't met him before.
Yeah, I was pass those around. I just happened randomly picked one customer today that I knew in West Lafayette. And lo and behold, on 9/11, he used almost 2,000 gallons of water. And this wasn't one I just picked perfectly. So that is a daily report there of how many gallons or cubic feet of water. Then you get more and more and blow down into that detail there. And that's where technology down the road, which is for the infrastructure, we talk about how we do billing. Let's get back to the billing issue itself. Is we need to figure out how to take our resources and address the people who don't pay their bills. So one, I'd like to take and use a process that New Philly uses. They seem to have the best, where if you look at our process, okay, you're late. First thing we do is we send out a letter saying, hey, you're late. So we spend some time, probably 10 grand a year, sending you a letter. Then when you don't pay that bill, if I get 60 days, we'll spend some time and money hanging a red tag. And then eventually, we'll get to the point where we try to shut you off. Now, the distribution folks and the office are working much better on getting people shut off. That's on the city, kind of like the grass issue. We, the city, when you get past due, you need to be shut off. So we started last Wednesday. We're going to do this one. It's kind of shut off Wednesday. We're going around to the curb boxes that we can't find, and we're digging them up and shutting off. We had one customer that had one on the shut off list, but he paid 8 other ones off to the tune of almost $2,000. So the word's getting out there. But when you look at the New Philly process, and if you pass those around, they simplified theirs to, if you pay your bill all the time, on time, you never see anything different. You don't even know the shut off world exists. But when it comes to shut off, they send a delinquent bill. It functions as your late notice, it functions as your shut off notice.
And then when you don't pay that bill, the crew goes out and shuts you off. So the billing staff doesn't spend any extra time preparing red tags. We don't spend any extra time hanging tags. Now the people can focus their time on getting these people shut off that don't pay. So, but that's their bill. Contains everything we need. It says, this is your final bill. This is the red tag. So I can spend time hanging tags, or I can spend time shutting people off. I'd rather, spend time trying to collect the delinquent amounts due. And again, it's the same people on the list almost every time. But that's the draft ordinance, that Bob's working on, I'm working on, that'll go to the ordinance committee. In that, there's some other things that state auditors have asked us to change, but that's the focus of the changes. Is that the people that cause us to incur costs should be paying that cost, not the people that pay their bills.
What's the best way not to get your water shut off?
Pay your bill on time.
Okay, thank you. I
I have
just
a
wanted that
question.
for
You
the
were
record.
talking about the meters. We have those in town, right?
We have about 150 to 200. We had some CARES Act money last year. We got the towers installed, and we have those meters coming on board.
Do we have any like stockpiled? I mean, just laying around that
We
people can
have-
buy?
We, the city, when we did the West Lafayette project, which is actually our meters, we had 50 to 100 meters left over that we kept, to start, So the only thing we put in now new is the new style meters.
So if I wanted one at my house,
Mhm.
what would that cost me?
300, the meter, the radio is about $350. That's not cheap.
Now, is that paid in a lump sum or is that paid over? a
Right now, your
continuous bill?
ordinances are lump sum. And that's where we want to.
Can we change that? Could
Well-
we change that to a billing cycle? And don't you think you would have more people that would want to jump on board to do that?
This is where, I'm glad, that you're gonna start bringing the infrastructure committee, because I definitely want to get in front of those. Is we have.
You have a breakdown of how the replacement and a replacement is scheduled. Yeah.
We right now, let's say we have 2,100 or about 2,100 meters that all we have to do is change the radio out and do the wire.
Mhm.
But again, that's an estimated, that's $750,000.
Right.
We have 3,500 meters that we go out and basically hand a card type concept,
That's what I,
or recording, but you're looking at $3 to $4 million. So the question is, how do you fund that?
right.
And I have some options. One option is, do you just add a monthly meter fee?
Mhm.
Kind of like you're saying, where we, the city, need to pay to weed the curbs.
Right.
We have maybe a monthly meter fee.
Mhm.
Then, because technically the meters, even though you pay for it, it's still our meter.
Right.
So that's one way to fund that. That's a couple of your projects. Other ways, do you raise rates? Do you do this? But the question is, how do we attack all of it? Right now, it looks like when I look back the last 4 or 5 years, you've budgeted $30,000, $40,000 a year for new meters. That's not really making a dent.
Right.
The other thing is, from EPA's recommendations, your meters should be changed every 15 years. I'm 65 years old. There's meters in town older than I am. Come on over.
So Dave, where are we at? I mean, where are you at right now with this ordinance?
Let me jump in there,
Yeah.
because he sent me an ordinance that was what, 50, 60 pages? Yeah. And I have corrections that I'd like to make, and I've asked to meet with the mayor and Dave concerning other changes that I would like to make, and we need to meet. So I would suspect that in 2 weeks, we will come to you with a proposed ordinance for the ordinance committee, not necessarily put on the agenda that night, but then to consider for probably the meeting after that. But I want you to be aware, there's a reason why our current ordinance allows the tenants to have the water in their name. And that's because all the landlords came to city council and complained so much that you guys said, let's let the tenants put it in your name. I don't want to, I'm warning you that there's going to be these landlords coming to city council and they're going to be complaining. And I don't really want to spend hours upon hours changing these ordinances. If you're gonna say, you're right, we're gonna let the tenants still put it in your name. Because that's the biggest change.
But
So
but
I don't need you to make that decision tonight.
Just don't bring us a 60-page ordinance.
But I think going to a monthly billing is going to protect the same landlords who will complain against it. It will protect them because you want to owe 1 month or do you
Right,
not
3
want to know
months.
for a quarter? If
Right.
it's me and I'm in business, I want to know my cost every month. And yes, it will be more tedious to.
There's 4 landlords that do
Every month.
quarterly billing. One I have, think has, you have to have at least 10 accounts. Of course, we allow one with 4, I think there's 11 and 12. And so that's 3 out of the 4, the other one has 90. But he bills his residents monthly anyhow off the water bill, so.
Right, so I mean, there's a, right, like what Bob's saying is, let's fix this. No one, and Dave has that spreadsheet of what other cities are doing around us. He's done the research, so it's what Dave is proposing is what everyone else around us is doing. So if it didn't work and it was horrible, then there wouldn't be 5 other communities directly around us that are.
You know, half of them, 3 out of the 6 send it to the landlord. One of them does allow it to go to the tenant or to the service address, but all it says is occupant. But other hidden savings for us from a billing office side, okay, so we allow the tenants, so they change tenants. Okay, we're supposed to try to collect a pass through. We don't know where they moved to. And the landlord said, that's your fault because you haven't went out and collected it. And then, we got the paperwork to change the address, all the other paperwork. That all disappears if you just put it in the landlord's name. And the biggest landlord, actually, the bills go to him. So it'd be no change for them.
Right. I agree with Bob, no matter what however we go, there's gonna be some pushback and we have to decide, it's something that we need to think about and bring it in 2 weeks and bring those things back.
Can I throw out there, I know right now with in income tax, any new water bill, so if it's in the tenant's name, that goes into the income tax office. And Jackie makes sure it's a great tool that she uses to make sure the person is current and has a new address, and to even make sure that they are filing with us and to get them captured that way. If you change it and have it to the landlord only, we're gonna lose that tool to capture those people for income tax. Because right now, they don't put it in a person's name until Jackie signs off and we make sure that they're not delinquent.
And right now, we deny service till the tax department says it's okay to provide them water.
To ensure that they're, it's to double check that they are current with us. But I mean, I could see that potentially maybe not being able to capture some people that way.
And that's obviously one of the, that's something that you need to think. Maybe this is a discussion that the infrastructure committee, or I guess the ordinance committee, would discuss before we even go and start making all these changes.
Anybody else? Thanks, Dave.
I have, and I don't know if this need to be an ordinance or anything, and I truly don't know how it would be enforced, but this came about over dinner and on the patio over in Roscoe about limiting the use of Jake brakes in town and around. I mean, if you're at the park system or in historic Roscoe Village, you've all been there, the racket of those. I don't know how that would be enforced even.
I think there are signs up that say no Jake brakes.
Are there?
Yeah, there are signs.
There
right
is
there on
by
the
the
highway.
park, but
Yeah.
Can I
getting
Tom's
enforced.
house on
Well, that's the thing, nobody's.
541?
Yeah.
You guys
Coming
couldn't
down
stand it if it was.
Oh, yeah, coming down
constant
that
Jake
hill.
brakes.
Yeah.
I get a lot of it on Cambridge when they're approaching
In
the
the
light at
morning.
the,
Yeah.
It's enforcement. There is signs up in different. In fact, I just had one put up on 36 there at the basin, which was actually on. I had to get Greg Rice involved because that's somehow the township has jurisdiction on that state highway right there.
Really?
Don't ask me how that worked, but
Once again, it's an enforcement issue. You can put
Exactly.
signs up everywhere. I have stop signs in my neighborhood. People don't like that.
that's the worst thing about the warehouse.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna, I know infrastructure will probably take a little bit. Michelle's been working on the bike path and sorry, Kayla, I know you're the chair, but I don't know how much you guys have communicated. I know Mark handed her a big box.
Yeah.
The very first meeting I was
I have
at.
it.
And I've talked to Michelle a couple of times, and I just thought that, you know, that box just didn't get handed over and thrown in a closet. So go ahead, Michelle, give us a little update.
So I spoke with Kevin from Omega. And I've spoken with Grant and Jen Andrews. So they've given Kevin everything he needs as far as the safe route to school path. So we've got that taken care of, which is great. Because we need that plan in order to pursue the funding in January. So as of where we are right now, and Mark, I don't know if you've made any contacts with anyone. Kevin has reached out to the Ohio Rail Development Commission to talk to them or just make an initial contact about acquiring that railroad property. So we can, and in theory, the path will go from Kids America straight through town all the way towards the Red Sea. And then we'll figure out, or the Red Sea area, and we'll figure out how to connect it to Lake Park. So I spoke with Kevin, and where we're at now is we need to really have another meeting to make sure that we're all on the same page before we reach out again to the Ohio Railroad Development team.
It's awesome.
So slow progress, but something is happening. So that's good.
Kayla, you have anything else?
Just that, I haven't seen anything communication from Lanny since August 27th about the door application was complete.
I just, I can,
Yeah,
Or
I
you
just,
go-
I have to say, I haven't
Either
gotten
way,
anything.
I have a
that
whole
you should-
list, but
Yeah.
I'll save that for council.
okay, I just,
Okay.
Lanny sent me the thing today, for the public notice
Okay,
and the
Okay.
reading. I think he asked, the mayor to, put a hard copy in the,
Right, so it will go into the paper. So the ad will, it's just an announcement, hey, this is being, and we can send that to everyone. So basically, it will be published in 30 days from that publication. You have to vote, you have up to 60 days to vote on it. So we're looking at the second meeting in October. That basically says, yeah, the 25th council will approve the DORA. And then it gets sent off to the state and then they approve, disapprove. I think the only other thing Lanny said, we need an official survey at some point. I don't know who's gonna do that. The
Right.
consultants could probably help us with that, but
council, I'll send that out to you guys. He gave me the electronic copy.
yeah, so basically it'll
Send
go
it out.
into the papers
Okay.
and then at the second meeting in October, it will be voted on and if it passes, then it will go to the state. So that's where we're at. Where everything, as far as packet wise, did you get the correct packet?
Yeah,
Okay, so we have as far as all the questions are answered, the packet's put together, it's all done.
Yeah.
It just needs,
his group, Mark, I'm sorry, but his group's also going to be available if there's any questions or
Right.
anything. He's got them. He'll have them
okay,
available.
so as far as being spelled out, it's spelled out, it needs published. And then you guys will vote, and then once it unanimously passes, which I hope, and then it goes to the state, and then it'll come back, so.
Is the package that you're talking about the application?
Yes, what I presented to
So you
Tom.
did present
Yes,
that, because
it's
you were
presented to
required to
Tom.
present.
Right, it is presented to Tom.
Yeah, when we met,
Yeah.
he gave that to me,
Yeah.
correct.
I will say that if you want an example of a Dora here in Coshocton, at the block party Saturday, our town Coshocton had a beer garden and our permit covered pretty much all of Main Street and Fourth Street. And all through the entire time and during that concert, 0 problems.
Thanks.
That's good to know.
Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. Glenn, infrastructure?
And I think we've been doing infrastructure since we sat
I
down,
think we've been bouncing back and forth. I think you're right.
but we all see that the paving is coming along very well. Some of the instances, it's terrific. Then we discussed the water issues. Infrastructure committee is going to be looking into some options regarding storm sewers. Couple other things got thrown at us tonight, but I'm not sure what else is new to be brought up at this point.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Do you want to share your
Yeah,
paving?
I do have some, I apologize, I probably don't have enough, I made 10 copies. but, Guys, I believe you guys had asked, paving for next year, which is called round 36 of the OPWC program. And I think I explained it last meeting, our paving projects had for next year, 2022, had to be in by August 25th. To the county, we go in with the county, so we get a volume reduction. And it's about $20 a ton or so. I was trying to do it ourselves versus going in with Fred, so I would hate not to continue doing that, but this kind of gives you the projects that we've submitted for this year to the OPWC program, which is called Round 36. If you look at the top two, the Cassingham and South Lawn, that will probably be the two projects that we hope will get scored high enough to receive OPWC grant funding, which some years are 80-20, most years is 50-50. So that would say, you know, we would get 85 and 64s. Do the math real quick, Roger. $149,000 roughly of grant funding to help cover the cost of those two roads. You can see they're the longest roads, and that's how we got Morgan Run and Buena Vista this year. Those were under the OPWC grant program. We'll submit it all, so it's included in with all the county roads, but the odds of us getting more than that, because under OPWC, we're part of District 14, and I now serve on the executive board of that. We'll get it around $6 million for, I think there's 7 or 8 counties in that, and that has to be split among all those counties. So it goes to a scoring matrix in October, and then we all get together. Some people are happy and some people are sad, and this will be my first year involved in that, but hopefully we'll get those two streets or roads in that program. So we'll get a reduction on our, but once you have to realize that we've done this now, we'll probably put this together in July sometime. You know, you drive the streets, you measure them, there's a formula you use to plug and chug, how many times you're going to use, and what the milling cost and all that good stuff is. We submitted last week. I get a letter from the people that's paving our streets now, 10% increase. So when you look at that number down there at the bottom, we already know that's off. So, and then, you know, we'll have to, just because we submit all this doesn't mean we'll do all these streets. We might blow a street up between now and then that we'll have to transfer in, or, you know, we always get with Sherry and find out exactly with the levy money, NBL money, 751 money, capital improvement money, gas tax money, what we actually have to spend. I think we're spending what, 586,000 this year roughly on the streets. Always remember the street levy only brings in roughly 400,000. So if it wasn't for that, we'd be not in good shape.
So if we don't get all this on this list next year, you're gonna keep continuing down this list?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? So
Yeah,
Spitler Hill is gonna get a little bit of work done in the next 2 years?
We've been on.
We gotta do work on Spitler Hill
Okay.
this year. We have to go in and do some full depth repairs. There's
Okay.
places that you've seen that was blowed out.
Oh,
I mean, if you
Right.
took your finger and sat there and scratched, you
Oh,
would
yeah.
probably hit collect.
yeah, it's there, yeah.
Because Tom, myself, Tom, Shelley, Clint Company, Fred Wachtel, what was our boy's name that was up there? from the
Josh.
Josh
Kemp.
Kemp.
Right.
We spent about 2 hours on Spitler Hill saying, what can we do about this?
Right,
Same
okay,
way-
good.
Same way as White Woman Street.
Mhm.
Oh, Harold Hitchens was with us as
Yeah,
well.
was there.
And then we.
I just wanted to make sure that it's on the list somewhere in the next
Yeah.
couple of years. All
Yeah.
right, thank you.
But those areas that are blowed out will be fixed this year.
Okay,
But we need to get in there and do some under drains to get
Right.
rid of the. We're never gonna be able to come back and put it in the way that it should be put in.
right, right.
$800,000 2 years ago,
Mhm,
and they said the cost is went up. Shelley
Right,
reinforced that, so there's things we can do, like the cul-de-sac up top, that's always terrible,
mhm,
is possibly concreting that whole cul-de-sac.
okay.
As the trash trucks go around, they just spread that asphalt where concrete will hold up better, so.
I even talked about maybe doing a communal dumpster area at the bottom of the hill. Actually, I talked to someone who lives on the hill today, and they said it wouldn't be that bad.
I mean, yeah, I
If
mean,
it's gonna save. the-
right, if it would save that road, if we could put a brand new road and say, no more trash trucks. I mean, if they could all agree upon that,
The
but
problem is it's an inherited problem. When
Right.
the city took the road, the road was not built how it should have been built. And like everything else we get handed most days,
Yep.
it's a problem that we inherited.
yep, it's our, yeah,
We're
now
here,
it's
let's
ours.
fix it.
Yep,
Let's
it's
fix
Okay,
ours.
Max has something else.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you for this.
who's chairing infrastructure?
Glenn.
Glenn. Also, this is what we worked on last month with Harold. Ordinance 913 covers how streets are supposed to be repaired, be it gas company or anybody else. I'd like to you review that. I can get you copies. I just didn't have time to make some for
Thank you.
for the other committee members, but I'd like your consideration to put that in the ordinance 913 in the appropriate place on how we want our roads put back, so.
Max, Sarah Drive, the back end of Sarah Drive, I'd call
we're
it that.
gonna- Same thing, full depth repairs. We're gonna try to get both done before the snow
All
flies.
right, thank you.
We just need to get in there before they quit making asphalt. What I've told Kevin too is we're milling everything. If we have to go in there in concrete, so be it. I mean, you can scratch concrete the same, not as well, but you can scratch it down some to put asphalt.
Cassingham Hollow or Cassingham Avenue Alley, I've noticed that's been
Yeah, we done a full
Concreted.
depth repair.
There's a
Brought it up
drainage,
with,
a severe drainage issue there. that
There's
we're
still a
out.
couple fairly large potholes there. We're gonna,
Yeah, we're gonna start doing hot mix tomorrow. I think I got the guys had all that work in Roscoe. And we tried to stay ahead of the pavers, so. Yeah, I mean, it's an excuse, but I don't know any other way to say it. We couldn't get hot mix this summer. There was probably a good month that they just was not making hot mix. And for us to run it all the way to Millersburg, you know, hot mix, then it's cold by the time it gets here. And then it's almost impossible to get it down. So we're gonna try to get as much as we possibly can between now and when they quit making it, because they will stop making it.
Yeah. Let the gas company fix that speed bump on King.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's still bumpy.
not like it was. It was.
Oh, yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
Number one.
Does anybody else have anything for Max? Okay, so,
You want me to go over what kind of stuff we're doing, or do you want me to wait till council meeting?
no, go ahead.
Okay, so 20th Street. That's a project, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. We're doing that project under the West Lafayette project. We blew that street out 4 successive times in about a month and just decimated that road. So we're actually paying for that with that project coming well under budget. And so we got with the EPA and Omega, and they're letting us pay for that out of that monies we had left. So we'll be putting an all new 8-inch or 10-inch.
5-inch base, and then I think 3 inches
No, I'm
asphalt.
talking about water.
Oh, water line's 10-inch. And that should start what they said about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I got the email today, and then we'll actually build a new road there with concrete and asphalt the way that proposed was. Mosquito spraying, the guys been doing a pretty decent job. We've been hitting it about the 3rd week of each month. So we're going to spray the week of the 20th, try to get, so the fair doesn't have any, I can't do anything about the yellow jackets, but hopefully the mosquitoes. I haven't seen them as bad at my house lately, and we set out about every night, but so hopefully people seeing a little bit of improvement there. We did have to buy a new tote of the Pinnacle, and it was what, Sherry, over $5,000. So, House Bill 168, I don't know how much you guys are familiar with that. That was the $250 million that the state Congress give to the OD High Department of Development. And that's where we met with Fred. We had to rank projects in the county because it's all gone through Fred's office. So the commissioners was involved. The water to Warsaw was deemed the most important project out of the, I don't know, there's probably close to 20 submitted countywide. So Omega's been working with us to get that submitted. And that those grants can go up to $5 million. So that would be more than half of what the Warsaw project is. And then the other one that we're submitting is a water tower replacement for Hartscrabble Hill. Up off of Chestnut Street. That infrastructure's been there since the 19 teens. And that supplies everybody basically. If we lost that, we'd have a be in a bad way. So that's the two that's on their House Bill 168. And paving should finish this week. So I know the people on hydraulic are going to be very happy. Hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, weather permitting. So anybody's got any questions? Can I mention something as a citizen rather than a member of this group? Am I allowed to do that?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering if Mark and I and Sherry have been spending a lot of time on the jail committee for the new jail. Would that be something that council would consider a resolution supporting that effort? Oh, I'm sorry. And Michelle, how did I forget about Michelle?
It's okay.
She's like me. We both sat there and we listened basically, but I don't know.
I'd be,
What do you
in
think?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
just for one person, I'd certainly be in favor of a resolution. It's urgent, it's vital.
but I know Jim Crawford, he is really working hard. He's every night attending township meetings, school board meetings, you name it, he's attending it. Some of us are signed up to attend meetings with him. I just think it might be something, it's vital to our community as well.
Absolutely.
And something council may consider in the near future, maybe a resolution supporting that effort. So,
Well, I think this is pretty productive.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, everybody's participation. We'll dismiss and reconvene in the chamber in about 7 minutes.
If I could, just an FYI, I made a mailbox for council, in the wooden mailbox downstairs, council didn't have one, stuff got laid on my desk, and if I got it signed, put there for council, is going in that mailbox. City council.
Where's it at?
Right there in our office, on the far end of the closet down there, you walk in and where the filing cabinets are, there's about 8 wooden mailboxes on there, and you guys have one in
Okay.
on the bottom.
Thank you. Okay. Chad needed that desk, didn't he?
Okay.
That town hall meeting date for Coshocton at least.
Wonderful.
Yeah, is this me? Hold on, let me make sure.
You have one request from you guys. Do you have a template? Make me up an official letter. I got two homeowners that send the auditors for certification. The ordinance gives you the power to do that. You know, it's gotta be certified, what, 704, whatever, what correct language. I'll find out that, because if we have a template, then I'm just gonna start. And they're owner occupied.
I can yell on.
Can I ask you a question?
They won't go flow. They can go low flow or no flow. Low flow would be used for somebody who needs a cup of water, take pills. They give you just a little bit of water, but their price is very, so $700 a piece.
That'd be wonderful if we did something to that respect to where somebody's not paying their bill.
Yeah, like when you say. Vote on that.
Maybe somebody cut it off.
Not in public. I'll send an email.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 7 o'clock. It's a regularly scheduled Shopkin City Council meeting. Call to order. Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Here.
Barcroft. Here. Gross. Here. Johnson.
Here.
Mishler. Here. Moore. Here. Turner.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge. And remain standing for identification. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we again thank you for this opportunity that you've given us to represent the city. Lord, be with each one of us as we make decisions tonight for the city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Minutes, council, your email the minutes from the July 26th council meeting. You guys does anybody have any questions or comments?
No, I make a motion to accept the minutes from July 26th and August.
Second. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Public input. If anybody from the public? All good. Please state your name.
How you doing? My name is Brad Fuller. I live at 1609 Nicollier Avenue in Coshocton. And today I would like to come referencing the letter that I sent to all of you via email. And nothing more to say than just wanted to be on record that I did come here and we talked about it. I know that it's a tough job to keep everybody happy, and I've been on both sides. And to do all this, and do appreciate what you do for our community. But I need to tell you that Roscoe Village needs some attention, and you know that. And I don't need anybody to explain anything to me. I just want to make sure that I am also currently the president of the business association there. And people, thousands, literally thousands, 8,000 to 10,000 people will come October to the apple butter stirring. They'll be walking on that street. And if you go in Roscoe, you know how bad that street is. I don't need to tell you about that. People have fallen on that street. The curbs, I know that that's another issue, all of that. But I just want you to remember the numbers, like $59 million in tourist money. That about 39 of that comes direct to tour, is a direct result of tourism, and about up to 59 is all of the offshoots of that. So, so far in the village, this year have been about, I'm gonna adjust it now just in my mind. When I had that, sent that letter, it was 10,000, it's probably easily 12,000 now, 12 or 13,000. People come to our community, they go to Roscoe Village and they spend money. They spend money to eat, they spend money in our shops. I own a shop there and, we're doing really well. Roscoe Village is very busy. We're doing really well. My wife just actually left her job to come to our shop full time. So that's how good we're doing. And we just need to have a good looking area when people come and they go, damn, I want to come back here again. This is going to be a destination for us. Makes everything else look good too. The city's looking great. The streets that I'm driving on, the city's looking great. But I'm here to ask you to do the street in Roscoe next year. I know it's not on the agenda this year, but I'm here to hold your feet to the fire because a lot of people did that when I was on that side. And so that's what I'm here tonight for. And just want to thank you for listening to me. Again, I don't need anybody to explain anything to me. I know I've got a lot of feedback. I talked to many of you. I heard back from everybody but 2 of you when I sent the email. So I appreciate that. But I just wanted to be on the record that this is such an important job to get done. So thank you for letting me speak and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Brad. Anybody else in the public? Any standing committees, Mayor, want to give a report for us?
I have a couple things to report. First, I want to recognize first responders from September 11th. There was a ceremony downtown Friday, a couple things going on Saturday. There's a breakfast at Lake Park, and then ultimately AMVET's had a first responders event that I attended. Just want to say thanks for the people who run into the burning buildings because I'll be always running out of the burning buildings. So another thing would like to let everyone know on council, the city lost an employee September 1st. Cody Dar passed away, succumbed to cancer at age 46. So just want to tell his family and friends we're thinking about him. I've known him a couple years, so just horrible situation. Dave talked to you about water billing, Dora. We've got somewhere with there. The ASME union contract will be voted on tomorrow. The sheriff's contract, we have a tentative verbal agreement so far, and I will present that. I'll probably get it emailed to you guys next couple weeks before the next meeting. That way committee, safety service and finance can look over it. Want to say that Sheriff Crawford was a joy to work with. We had a lot of laughs. There's a lot of numbers in that contract, and I think the plan that we have both came up with will benefit the city as well as the county as a whole. And I'm not just saying he was a joy to work with for just blowing smoke. It actually went well, and I think we both have what's in mind for the residents of our city, and I think that you'll be delighted that we are going to join more city forces and city ordinances within our sheriff's department. So I think that's one thing you'll see for the first time, that we are going to start going in the right direction for our residents with kind of training ordinances and following more, so we have more eyes than just one guy. So that and you'll see what the plans are, and just I'm excited about that. Fire chief, there's a civil service hearing this Wednesday, and that's all I'm going to elaborate on that one. So we're still not anywhere in that. That's the process. There was I want to call an appeal. I have my lawyer, a challenge to the test. So that's as far as I'm going to elaborate on So after Wednesday, we'll see where we go from there on that process. Infrastructure, Max mentioned about House Bill 168. We're really working towards that Warsaw project and the water tower project. The Warsaw project will benefit Warsaw and will also benefit us receiving. If we can receive 5 million in funding for that Warsaw project, we're halfway there. So we're not holding on to a large debt load from that project. Paving, everyone's ready for paving to be complete. I apologize, Mr. Fuller, on White Woman Street. Definitely, I was out there personally with Councilman Barcroft and with Max, looking at the other realm of curbing and drainage. And last time it was paved, I don't want to say it wasn't paved right, but it wasn't paved completely. So there are other issues out there that we need to try to figure out, and look forward to working with your organization, with the Roscoe Village Foundation, whoever, has a hand in getting something accomplished there. It's not, in my mind, just a paving project. It is definitely a curb project. It's a tree root problem. It's a drainage issue, and want you to know that I sit on the CDB board. I know how important that tourism is to our county. I'm working on other projects to grow that. It's huge. It's part of our identity now. It always has been, but more than ever, it's definitely part of our identity and who we are as a city, and look forward to fixing not only the street, but also other issues in Roscoe, trying to figure out how we get there. You know how important Roscoe is when you're somewhere and you say you're from Coshocton, and people say, "Where's Coshocton?" And you say, "You ever been to Roscoe Village?" They're like, "Yeah, we know where that is." So want to be the place to be known for both. Moving on, 5th Street, Coshocton Glove Factory. We're getting a little closer to a resolution there, I believe. We were promised that demo was going to start in the beginning of July. Nothing's happened. So if nothing happens, then we make something happen. So it's not off my radar. We'll keep you updated with that. Also, we have Ferry Falls, completing the deal with Ferry Falls, and I will have more details with Ferry Falls. What's going on with that? We're close to a resolution on that one as well. Really want to talk, there's a million positive things. Just wrote down the 5, 6, 7 that I saw today. One flower bed at a time. We had John Kistner organized a group on Facebook, and they're going out to help people in need of sprucing their flower beds up. People who can't get out, can't get the work done. Once again, instead of call City Hall, let's call our neighbors and let's get something done. Let's clean it up. Let's help people instead of going at them, threatening fines and jail time. Let's help each other out. So want to applaud that with John and that group. Nate Gibson has painted a lot of fire hydrants. You can see, newly painted fire hydrants. Nate Gibson, anyone who wants to paint fire hydrants, help the city out, paint 1 or 2 or whatever you want to paint. We'll always take that labor help. Once again, it's not paint the fire hydrants. It's, hey, I'll help you paint the fire hydrants, or who can we have help each other to paint fire hydrants? Laney Brillhart actually has done some curb painting downtown and some weeding in highly visible areas, Rite Aid's flower beds, the lower BP, downtown, different areas where she's just taken upon herself to help her community out. You'll notice some movement on the Rock 10 site. Standard Power is in the process of cleaning up, and Standard Power is the company who does cryptocurrency servers, and I will not elaborate anything. Let's have them get the site cleaned up. I'm not going to mention how many jobs or how big of an investment it is. I've had meetings with senior leadership, and things are moving in a forward direction on that site. It looks better already. So Wendy's is building on South Second Street. They keep playing those breakfast commercials. I'm trying to eat healthy, but I think I want one of those. Jenny Penny's coffee shop downtown, Huck's and Roscoe, and the Port Authority acquired the Pastime Theater for a co-working space in the Shopkin Collaborative. And this weekend, our very own Tom Barcroft was downtown with Our Town. Block party hosted by Main Street Station. Want to say thanks for Walt and Tammy's work on that and at Main Street Station and Our Town, and encourage. It was a wild weekend, and the turnout was okay, but I think maybe we need to make an annual event to where we shut Main Street down and have a good time. And maybe not, there's just a million things going on, which is good. And right now, I'd like to encourage the public to love thy neighbor, support the jail levy, the Justice Center. Sheriff Crawford has been out on the road in Warsaw and the townships and everywhere. Don't believe everything you hear on Facebook, especially when it's about me. But the Shopkin County Justice Center is on Facebook and explains what the levy is about, how it works, where the jail will be built, the nuts and bolts. Sheriff Crawford will be at Coshocton High School on Thursday, the 23rd of September, from 7 to 9 in the auditorium. And he will be speaking about and answering any questions. He's completely transparent. I'm sure if you call the office, he'll answer your questions, send a message on the Facebook page. Just want people to know, if we don't make this happen, it's probably never going to happen again. And if that happens, the government comes in and says, here's what kind of facility that you are going to build and you are going to man, and that is going to be more costly than any sales tax amount that you will ever see. So it's not a threat, it's just explaining how the process works. Get in tune. If you have questions, call my office, call the sheriff, call whoever, and let's answer the questions. And last, but certainly not least, the most important thing and the biggest Facebook hit that we get every year, Trick or Treat, will be Saturday, September 30th, from 5 October. You want to go trick or treating already? Let's do it 2 months. Trick or Treat, Saturday, October 30th. 5 to 6:30 p.m. And I'm telling you, if people on Facebook go crazy, that's the biggest post of the year. So if we could get as many people involved and helping their neighbors, fighting a pandemic and doing what we need to do, like if it was just as popular as Trick or Treat, the world would be a great place. Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Thanks, Mayor. Max, you have anything to add?
I just had one thing that I did not bring up in committee, the 8th and 9th Street water project. Mike's probably wondering where we're at on that. We bid it, it come back 20% over what the original engineering estimate was. That means it has to go back out for rebid. We sure got involved. We had to commit more of our water fund money to that project. Right now, it's going back out to bid. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah, I asked for an update before this meeting, did not get back from CEC, but they should be advertising it this week or next.
Yeah, so we may be installing that while the snow's flying, which is what we didn't want to do, but those guys are used to working in that kind of condition. So that's where we're at on that. That's if I have questions.
Questions for Max? Law Director, Bob, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Okay, this next one does. Sherry?
I do. I have your monthly, then I have one other report that I need to pass out to you. So for your July information, you have the statement of cash July 30th, bank report July 30th, detailed trial balance for July 30th, your detailed check report for 7/8, then and now 7/8, detailed check report 7/21 and 7/28. And then again for August, your August cash statement ended 8/31, the bank report, detailed trial balance for 8/31. Detailed check report for 8/4, then and now 8/4. Detailed check report and then and now for the 18th. And looks like I typed detailed check report for 8/25. I typed it twice. I'm not sure why I did that in my email. So you just need to approve those in the minutes like you normally do. So you want to do that? I'm passing this out.
Okay, you've heard the auditor's report. Does anybody have any questions? I need a motion to accept both July and August.
I'll make a motion.
Chad. Second call. Mr. Moore, call the roll, please.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft. Yes. Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Okay, Sheriff's, no,
Oh, wait.
hold up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know, we had the large project for the Heimball Park and basketball project. I consulted with our state auditors and they said that anytime that we receive donations in for a specific project, council should actually approve accepting that money in. So I just prepared a quick little report for you that lists the donations that were received in. And then I just went ahead and just give you a little update on the actual expenses. So you see all the individual donations brought in that totaled $7,550. And those were all receipted in to the 401 capital improvement fund under the parks. And then the expenses that were paid out were a total of $20,871.98. So if you just do the simple math, you know, the total expenses less our donations, that shows you then that the 401 capital improvement parks line item put out $13,322 towards that project. But I need for you in the minutes to accept those donations into the 401. And that's something anytime going forward that we have donated money that I'll have to bring to you and have accepted in. So if you wouldn't mind accepting those.
I need a motion to accept Sherry's Heimball project. Michelle.
I'll second.
second,
Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Okay, now Sheriff Crawford, you're up. You gonna tell us how nice it was to work with Mr. Mills?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Right back at you, Mayor Mills. It was a pleasure. And the reason it was a pleasure, when you have both sides of the table working for the same goals to accomplish betterment for the community, it goes a lot smoother. And as Mayor Mills did say, we have reached a tentative agreement and expect that to move forward and get the paperwork, get it in black and white, as they say. So thank you, Mayor Mills and Max Crown, for working with the negotiating team on that, or working towards that goal. I did submit the July and August reports. Hopefully everyone received those, and I will answer any questions that you might have. One other thing I'd like to add to the Coshocton City Schools Community Forum, WTNS will be live streaming that. So we did accomplish that this week. So, but anyone have any questions for me?
Will it be on the WTNS page? It'll be on the WTNS Facebook page.
Yes.
Streaming.
Yeah.
On that day.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions for Sheriff Crawford? Thank you,
No,
Sheriff. You're doing a
that
good
was
job.
easy. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
My apologies. I do have to leave. I have another meeting I have to attend.
I imagine.
So, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, properties, Jeff, you have anything for us?
Nothing on what we talked about earlier.
Good. Dave, you have anything else?
Nothing
for us?
additional.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does anybody else, Mr. Moore, or any other council members have any other reports or email? Anyone? Okay, we'll now go into legislation. Legislation at the first reading. Mr. Moore, to give the first reading of ordinance 33-31, or 21, I'm sorry, 33-21.
Transfers?
Okay, you've heard the first reading of 33-31. Are there any questions or comments?
Make a motion to suspend the rules and give the second reading.
Motion made by Chad Johnson to give the second reading, seconded by Kaylee. Clerk call roll.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
Yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
Okay, you've heard the second reading, 33-21. Motion to suspend the rules. Glenn, suspend the rules. Second. Seconded by Tom. Barcroft. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give ordinance 33-31 a third reading, 21 a third reading.
Transfers?
Okay. So the question is, should ordinance 33-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
yes,
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
Ordinance 33-21 is passed. Legislation at the first reading. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 34-21.
Appropriations?
For the first reading of 34-21, any questions or comments?
Motion to suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Motion to give a second reading. Cheryl, second. Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
yes,
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give ordinance 34-21 a second reading.
Appropriations?
For the second reading of 34-21. Motion for third reading.
I'll make a motion.
Chad Johnson made a motion,
second,
then second.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
yes,
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the third reading. Ordinance 34-21.
Appropriations?
For the third reading of 34-21, question is, should ordinance 34-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
yes,
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
Ordinance 34-21 is passed. Legislation, first reading. I'll ask Mr. Moore to give the first reading of ordinance 35-21.
In ordinance to amend the city of Coshocton codified ordinances, chapter 1333 nuisances.
For the first reading, 35-21. Any questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to read, no owner, agent, occupant, person, or business entity shall allow in one's conditions as defined herein to exist in the city of Shopkin.
Okay, we have a motion to amend.
I'll second that.
Mr. Moore seconded. Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews?
Yes.
Barcroft?
Yes.
Rose?
yes,
Johnson?
Yes.
Mishler?
yes,
Moore, yes. Turner?
Yes.
So I will ask Mr. Moore to give the first, back to the first reading.
no, now you just vote on the first reading.
Okay. Mr. Moore, are there any questions or comments on the first reading? Mr. Moore, please call the roll for the first reading.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mishler. Yes. Moore, yes, Turner.
Yes.
Are you gonna let that take its course?
I think we're going to pass it.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give ordinance 34-21 a second reading. A second.
Okay, Mr. Moore, call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes, Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give ordinance 35-21 a second reading.
The ordinance to amend the city of Coshocton codified ordinances, chapter 1333 nuisances.
Are there any questions? You've heard the second reading, 35-21. Any questions?
I would just like to make a comment that, this ordinance, we don't want to throw anybody in jail. We've been over this at committee meeting. People have listened. That's not what this is about. So, okay, we're good. I'm good.
Okay, so heard the second reading. We have a motion for a third reading.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give the third reading.
Okay.
Mishler?
Second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes, Sound. Barcroft, yes, that needs changed.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give.
Turner.
Yes.
I'll ask Mr. Moore to give ordinance 35-21 a third reading.
In order to amend the city of Coshocton codified ordinances, chapter 1333 nuisances.
For the third reading of 35-21, the question is, should ordinance 35-21 pass? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
No.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore, yes, Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 35-21 is passed. Okay, resolutions. Mr. Moore, please read the resolution 6-21.
Resolution 6-21, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Question is, should resolution 6-21 be adopted? Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Excuse me. Remember, on that one, remember you typically, you have to have somebody make a motion and then a second on this particular resolution.
The motion to accept.
A motion
Yes.
to accept.
I'll make a
second.
Kaylee made I'll second. Made a motion, Chad, second.
Yep.
Mr. Moore, please call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore, yes, Barcroft,
Yes.
Mishler,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, so resolution 6-21 is adopted. Any old business? New business? Do you have any communications?
I would just like to thank Walter and Tammy at the Main Street Station, piggybacking on what the mayor said earlier, for putting on that block party for the community. That was a wonderful time. And I'd like to thank Max for kind of helping out with some problems that arose. The city took care of those for us.
Anything else? I'd like to thank the public. For those of you who attended the meeting tonight, it's nice to see people out, giving us your thoughts. Mr. Moore, what's the date and time of our next meeting?
Committee meeting 5:30 on September 27th, council meeting at 7 p.m.
Need a motion for the meeting to be adjourned.
So moved.
Chad, second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Missler.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Turner.
Yes.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Are we gonna have a health?
Yes. I'm gonna get to you. You had to do.
That's all right.
Tell her it's how you made it.